Hello, everybody. Welcome here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So it's Favorites Night, Wednesday Favorites Night, in which I pick a topic, a top 5 or 10 or 25 or something that requires me some kind of ranking. That's normally what I do. People like their ranking shows. So today we're going to pick one that could possibly be very controversial. We're going to do not mine, but we're going to do probably the 5 most hated rock bands. So how did I come about this? So basically, this isn't my opinion. I just went through, I picked about 30 online. It's not hard to find these things. They are prolific. It could be hundreds of them. But I picked the top 30 ones that came up on the internet when I punched in 5 most hated rock bands, just to see what people's general opinions were across. I picked 30 different rankings, I guess. Maybe you wouldn't call them rankings, or 30 different opinions from 30 different people, 30 different Wikipedia, Rolling Stone, all these different ones. And what I did is I just did a point system. So it was, if you were the most hated by them, you got 30 points. If you were the least hated by them, you got 1 point. So you kind of get it. It's just a ranking system. So I went through 30 different ones and came up with a list of generally perceived the most hated rock bands by, I could have probably done 100 different ones and maybe I would have got a different picture, but I figured 30 should be a good selection of across the board stuff. And it included classic rock, it included modern rock, it included pop rock, everything you can imagine. And I came up with 5 bands who appeared to have scored the most points, and which in this case doesn't really work that well for them. So these are not necessarily, I think, to be honest with you, I don't think any of these made my list of most hated band. Well, actually, one of them did. One of them did for sure. The other bands are just generally hated. There's a couple bands on here I probably don't like either. Well, there's 2 or 3 of them I don't like either, but I wouldn't say I hate them because I don't listen to them. I don't listen to them enough to really hate them. I don't listen to the radio, so they haven't had any impact on me there. So, okay, so that's enough for the explanation. The only other thing I say is please don't burn me at the stake here. These are just what I observed from these 30 different channels and came up with this list. So, anyways, we're going to get going here. Sorry, I had something wrong with my glasses here. So, we're going to do this in the same order I always do these lists, which is from worst to first or least to best, or however you want to put it. In this case, it's going to be from terrible to worst. And we'll start off with the bottom of the list, which some of these may surprise you. I'm surprised by a couple of them. I didn't think they were definitely in this realm. I did see a few lists that included a lot of classic rock bands like Yes and Rush and Led Zeppelin and The Who even. One guy's list included his 5 worst were those 4 I just said, plus a couple of others. So, obviously I don't have much in common with that guy. So, anyways, there wasn't enough of that to put any of those bands in the list. I can see why some people might not like them and stuff, but again, just remember this is all subjective. It's not, these may be bands you absolutely love. A couple of these bands I actually kind of like. Well, at least one of them I really kind of like, so I was kind of surprised. 2 or 3 of them I didn't really listen to, so it's pretty hard for me to say I loved or hated them. Anyways, I'm yammering too much. Let's get on with the list. So, in the number 5 place, it appeared on quite a few lists. Not too high up in the list, but it appeared on a lot of lists. It wasn't, I don't think it was a top 5 on any list I seen, but it accumulated enough points that it made the final 5. So the band we're going to talk about for number 5, Metallica. I chose this album. I like this album. I actually have about 5 or 6 Metallica albums. I don't hate them at all. I kind of like them, actually. They're fairly new to me, too. Even though it's kind of funny, because I went to a concert in I believe it's 1983 at the Massey Hall in Toronto, and Metallica was one of the 3 bands playing there. What year was this album? 86. So this is about 3 years before this album. And they were like one of the opening bands. I think they were either first or second on the list. I can't remember which one. And Dio was opening. And I never heard of them before, so I had seen them, and I kind of didn't mind them. I never followed their music much, because I really wasn't into this style of music at the time. But I kind of like them. I kind of like Slayer, too. Those are the 2 of this genre of metal that I kind of like. And their early stuff is quite good. But anyways, they're coming here at number 5 on the most hated bands. So don't lynch me for that one. The next one would have been on my list. And I wouldn't even call them hate it, but I don't like them much. I've grown to, they're too political. They're too full of themselves and stuff like that. I can see why a lot of people don't like them. And that's U2. So they're going to come in at number 4. I picked this album because I kind of like this one. And this is, again, another band. I have about 6 of their albums. So I don't completely hate them, but I don't listen to them as much as I used to, too. The next one, I actually surprised that I had this. I don't know. I must have bought this with one of the yard sale things. Didn't realize I had it. I've listened to this band. Maybe I've listened to this album once. I kind of think of these guys as grunge. I don't know if they're full-on grunge, but I definitely think of them that way. But that's as much about them as I know. But they appeared regularly in the top 5. They were consistently up there among the worst bands by many different people. And we're talking about Creed. So that's number 3. The other 2 are so bad that I don't have anything from them. I don't even know anything about their music. Well, the number one, I do know their music, and I kind of don't like them quite a bit too, so I kind of understand that. The number 2 is going to be Limp Bizkit. A lot of people really kind of detest this band, always citing kind of the same thing. Very generic music that has no feeling to it, that nobody really likes or cares for. So I'm sure there's people out there that like this band. They sold millions of albums as far as I know. I don't know much about them, but they're going to come here at number 2 as the most hated bands out there. And the number 1 band, this really doesn't surprise me. I didn't think they were hated this much, but they were pretty much on the 30 channels I looked at. They were number 1 on 10 of them. 10. So if you do the math, that's if you get 30 points for number 1, 10, that's 300 points right there. And they were in the top 5 on half a dozen of the other ones. So easily they were like by far the most hated band. And we're talking about Nickelback. And I kind of understand this because I'm not a huge Nickelback fan. I never really liked them much. I don't hate them though because I don't listen to them. There's a couple tracks that my daughter used to like because when she was living with her mother and that they played this stuff a lot. But generally speaking, I can't stand them. It hasn't got to the hate category, but I just don't like them, and I can see why a lot of people hate them. So that's my number 1, Nickelback. So I'll give them back to you again. In the number 1 spot, Nickelback. The number 2 spot, Limp Bizkit. Number 3 spot, Creed. The number 4 spot, U2. Number 5 spot, Metallica. Of these 5 bands, probably only U2 would have made my top 5. But that's just me. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. It was kind of a fun thing to do. Kind of get the blood stirred a bit up. And please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to give your 5 worst, or what you think are the 5 worst bands of all time, you can put them. I'm not even going to say worst. The 5 most hated bands of all time, you can put them in the comment section. If you want to take issue with some of these, that's fine as well. Just remember that these are not my picks. These are just a point system that I went through and looking at 30 sites. Anyways, enjoy your evening. If you want to see my list of worst bands, you can look and you'll be able to find that in my five band lists. Anyways, take care and have a good one. Good night and goodbye.